the scaling advice that is bankrupting successful coaches and consultants and why everyone keeps teaching it. So in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to show you the 3 scaling mistakes that are secretly sabotaging six-figure service providers and the exact repositioning strategy my clients use to scale without cannibalizing their premium rates. So at a certain point as a coach, consultant, service provider, if you're good at what you do, you start getting booked out or overworked with one-to-one clients. And you start hitting a ceiling, an income and impact ceiling where you can't take on more clients without raising your prices till infinity or working more hours, and you don't have them in place. What everyone says here, this is the time where you're booked out with one-to-one clients, where you launch a group coaching program or one-to-many offer. And this means that this ceiling, this capacity, suddenly doesn't exist. The limit does not exist. So your income and impact can go way higher above this current ceiling. The problem that no one talks about, and this is what almost made me bankrupt at one point, is when you go from one-to-one into one-to-many and you have this spike in income and revenue because you suddenly are now selling, a 5K program, you sold 20 spots or whatever. Awesome. However, if you're one-to-one, most people here have a small audience. So it's quite easy to sell 5 to 10 one-to-many spots over here. You raise that ceiling, awesome. But what happens really quickly here is that the audience that you're building, the leads you bring in is much, much slower than how you are selling. So this means that this income is going to go up when you launch and sell your 5 to 10 spots to your warm audience, your warm network, your referrals, all of that great stuff. But because you're not bringing in new leads and nurturing them as fast as you are selling to your current audience, that's going to go down quite quickly because you can only sell to this warm audience once, twice, maybe 3 times, scoop the cream off the top. But suddenly we're in a gap of, well, we've sold to everyone on your email list in your network who's been interested. Now what? How are we continuously getting you in front of new leads and new clients? You can keep selling at this much higher capacity. So one, people don't take into account, hey, I actually need to figure out how I'm now growing my audience faster if I'm trying to make this shift and to scale. This is a huge issue. Two, people think, oh, I'm just going to put together one-to-many program and I'm done. They try to over-deliver and they underprice. Because if you move from one-to-one into one-to-many, the price of your one-to-one can go up. Because when you're working just one-to-one, that's your pyramid. There's only one way to work with you. It's one-to-one, so you charge whatever you're charging. When you go one-to-many, we're expanding that pyramid. And a lot of people then really undercharge here because they're so used to charging by the hour and they end up discounting this. But if you're a coach, consultant, service provider, copywriter, systems expert, if you go too cheap here, it actually devalues this because it's kind of the same people. They might have a little bit less money, but it's the same people who are buying this. So be very careful with how to price this. Third mistake is over delivery. And now bear with me because I know we all want to help our clients and give all the value and all of that. And people, when they're going from one-to-one into one-to-many, think, well, there's less time with me, so I have to give them all this other stuff. Super simple summary, only 3 things you need. We need the 3 C's. We need community. I use a school group. We need some kind of curriculum. So we're going to take your one-to-one. We're going to map it into a success path, into a curriculum. You're not going to create this yet. We're going to sell this. We're going to sell the 5 spots first to validate it. And lastly, coaching. So some kind of live coaching Q&A element with you. So that's really important because that's all you need. Everyone then starts shoving in workbooks and co-working and all, monthly one-to-ones or whatever. Keep it simple. If you can't sell it ugly, you can't sell it pretty. So really important. Number 1, this drop off, because you're going to start selling to your warm audience faster than you're going to build it. 2, going from one-to-one into one-to-many and how to make that transition and with the pricing. And 3, the 3 C's in your one-to-many offer. So hope this was useful. I'm super excited for all of you to move from one-to-one into one-to-many and start building out that pyramid. I'll see you in the next one.